Two, be like a reasonable person to get information from on a breaking news story involving one officer who has been murdered potentially by a stab wound from a person who drove into barriers at the Capitol, got out, and possibly stabbed an officer and then got shot and killed. Okay, this is what we know so far. QAnon people have immediately rushed, as they always do, to like potentially blame the fucking blame this shit on black people, or blame this on like a false flag or a psyop or a fucking black ops or whatever the fuck it's called, to claim that like they want to keep the fence up. We don't know yet. We have no idea. This is why I always say, like, with breaking news stories like this, we just simply don't know. So don't go to Trump Jew 2 to get your fucking reliable information, please, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do that. That's not great. Police so far have said that it might not be terror, that it might not be motivated by terror, even though what I've seen so far does strike me as an act of terror. But I don't know. We don't know. Okay? Yeah, only reliable source in this matter is Trump Jew 1, not Trump Jew 2. Trump Jew 2 Electric Boogaloo, not as reliable as Trump Jew 1.
At the scene or
anyway,
at the hospital.
It is also top of the hour, so I'm going to give you the first ad break of the day right now. If you want uninterrupted broadcast experience, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. It's the beginning of the month, too, so you probably have your fucking Primes if Ludwig hasn't taken all of them. So get them going. Here is the fucking ad
this is
now.
Something that the officials said they have video of. Of course, this is a heavily patrolled area with a big police and law enforcement presence, but they also have plenty of security cameras and perhaps other eyewitnesses who have this on video, and that they were able to review that. And they said that the suspect did lunge with a knife, and then the suspect was shot by the responding officers, and then ultimately did die from those injuries. So the other really important headlines here that now officials can confirm, they believe and say this is not terrorism related, that this person, the suspect who died, was not on file with the U.S. Capitol Police, and they don't believe any particular member of Congress was targeted with this attack. They were asked whether there's any other information about the motive, and they said that it is just too soon at this time. They weren't going to be able to give more details, but importantly, of course, this investigation is ongoing.
I don't know if it's a white dude or not. I don't think he's a white dude. You guys keep saying white, but I have a video of the fucking person who got shot, and I think he's black, for the record. So I'm just letting you know. For people who are like, oh, they're not saying it's terror. They're saying it's not terror, so he must be white. He's not. I think he is black. So, you know, just remember that.
Enough on this
it doesn't change my opinion on the matter, though.
Over
still,
the 3 p.m. mark, even as those police officials were briefing, you could hear
that's an officer. Wait,
in the background when they offered that very somber and awful update, and really everybody just extending their thoughts and prayers to this fallen U.S. Capitol Police officer and their family. There have only been really a handful of Capitol Police officers who have ever died trying to defend it, and of course, we know that Officer Brian Sicknick was someone who did die in the line of duty.
Unless it was an undercover cop.
Attacks. We don't yet know the identity. They haven't given us that information.
No, the guy I saw in the video is in plainclothes. Yeah, the guy I saw in the video is in plainclothes.
For us in Washington right now, Monica, thank you for that. It's worth noting that the U.S. Capitol was not occupied in any significant way in terms of large numbers of people who were working in the building because it is a holiday weekend. Congress is not in session. There were not many staffers, if any, in the building, the Capitol or the office buildings that surround it today because of the holiday weekend that we are in. I want to bring in NBC News national security analyst Frank Figluzzi, who's been watching some of this unfold as well. Frank, just your initial impressions about what we've learned so far and what you would be able to tell us about what's happening now. Frank, you there?
Well, first, obviously, we've had it. Yeah, I'm here. Obviously, we've had a tragedy with the fatality of a police officer and the subject being killed as well. But this could have been even worse had it not been contained at the barricade situation. What's happening now is a full-blown investigation and intelligence operation. By that, I mean everything possible that can be learned about the subject, where he came from, how he got there, why he did this, whether or not he's affiliated with any known domestic or international terrorist group, whether he has a history of mental illness or has purchased weapons or has explosive histories. All of that is being worked on now. And even as we speak, it's likely that search warrants are being drafted for his residence or place of business so that his devices can be scrubbed and scoured for any reasons and motivations that can be learned about why he did this and whether there's any continuing threat from others who might be associated with him.
Frank, as I think about the response to an incident like this, we know that the Capitol complex and that area around it is fairly heavily fortified. Obviously, the police presence that's there, the barriers that are both always up and only raised when necessary would be options, things that could be deployed here and used to stop a potential threat. But talk a little bit about how uncommon, how rare, how surprising it is to have an incident like this happen outside the Capitol. And obviously, we can't even begin to compare it to what happened on January 6th, a much different sort of incident versus what we are seeing here today.
Well, I think we're in an era now, while it's not unprecedented, we're now moving into an era where the Capitol building itself, the iconic symbol of our democracy that it is now becoming a target of its own. It used to be individual senators, members of Congress. Somebody might try to breach security occasionally. Individual members would get threats. But now I think we're into a place where the Capitol itself is an iconic threat target of its own. And I have to say, I've said on the NBC network before that any talk about lessening the security post.
Okay, here's what happened like earlier today. This is
unusual. I'm taping this. This is a helicopter literally landing.
This is what it started off. This is how I started off my day.
I've never in my life seen this before. I've been up here a long time. Again, a helicopter landing on the east front of the Capitol. A U.S. Park Police helicopter. Oh my Lord.
Stop saying Tony.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he better be a good pilot with that maneuver.
Yes, one cop died.
Man.
One of the cops is dead. We don't know if the cop died because we don't know if the cop is dead because of the wounds that he got through the stabbing, or if he died because of the collision. There aren't as many details. Anyone who's telling you they have more details is fucking lying to you, okay? Just stop here. Multiple U.S. So the radio thought multiple U.S. Capitol police officers had been shot, but it's not entirely. That was like earlier in the day, and it's not entirely. That wasn't. They said succumb to their wounds, but wait, the Capitol is no longer on lockdown? We just got word that the Capitol lockdown has concluded. Okay, so officially the Capitol lockdown ended 2 minutes ago. Okay, officially the Capitol lockdown ended 2 minutes ago. And I don't know why the helicopter was there. But the officer who was stabbed has died. I think the assumption is that he succumbed to his wounds, okay? Or that's what the original statement was.
There's still,
but even that can change. That's what I'm trying to say. Even that information can change later.
Capitol complex area here over the course of these last several weeks to help out with the U.S. Capitol Police, but they actually stood exactly on this very intersection back on January 6th, now 3 months ago. And it was only a few days after that when the remains of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick were brought down in
Where was I on January 6th? Me and my Antifa boys were in there wearing all black and wearing MAGA hats to make it seem like it was the MAGA that are bad, brother. That's what I was doing on January 6th. Hell yeah, I was being a goddamn patriot.
Looks like, and I got to tell you, it was just under 2 weeks ago, actually, 2 weekends ago, when they began taking down that layer of fencing here that restricted folks even up until this point. And there was sort of a spring atmosphere in the air when that first layer of fencing began coming down. But what you can see from the images of the incident there, where that car hit those barriers, is that other layer of fencing. That is not normally there. That fencing went up in the days after January 6th. It was General Russell Honore who was tasked by Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Might seem like I was here streaming the entire process, but that was a body double, brother.
So that an event like January 6th wouldn't happen again.
I gotta pee, fuck.
Or other serious security incidents wouldn't take place. And one of the issues, he said, is that the government needs to take seriously the threat within. Of course, we still know very little about this individual involved in this situation here. But at the same time, when you're looking at the incident here, what you do see is that a barrier stopped that car. And now we have learned that one officer was injured and another officer killed. This is a security presence outside of the U.S. Capitol complex that not only is protecting the members, but also their staffs, the press, those that work in the Capitol. But also, this is a place where the public comes to speak to their members of Congress, where they can go up, literally walk through the doors of their members' offices. And ever since January 6th, that has not been able to take place. And I think what today's event unfortunately showed us, number one, is that the U.S. Capitol Police are playing an ever important role here around this Capitol perimeter here, but also that those conversations that are taking place not only among U.S. Capitol Police, but other federal law enforcement agencies, and as well as the Senate and the House of Representatives about what type of infrastructure needs to be up here long term, that those conversations remain prevalent today, and that this was not just a matter of January 6th, but this is a matter of understanding what security needs to be in place here in the long haul.
Vaughn, since you're on the ground there, I do want to ask you and get some perspective about the layout around the Capitol right now, as we're looking at one picture of the dome and a picture of the car that is still on the scene, the car that rammed the barricade there, a barricade that would have been fairly close to the Capitol building itself. And I'll note for our viewers that the lockdown at the Capitol has been lifted in the last few minutes. Earlier, there were instructions for people who may have been in the complex to not to leave, or for no one to try to enter the complex. They were able to move around inside. The lockdown's been lifted now. But Vaughn, you talked about the fencing that was put up post January 6th and the fact that so much of it has come down. From where you are right now, in comparison to where this car ran into that barrier, was there fencing there toward, I guess you're south of the actual Capitol building, yeah. South and west, right?
Up until I'm going to have Scritch walk around here with us to try to see if we can get the best angle that we can, because it was not until Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, so about 12 days ago, cars were still not allowed to drive even through this intersection, up Constitution Avenue. This entire section over here, I'll have Scritch pan over here, this was all closed off. Up until now, obviously, police have put up a perimeter here yet again after today's incident here. But no, this is generally an open passageway, and it wasn't until 12 days ago that they actually opened this area again to the general public and to cars. And so
I just need to see what's going on here.
Cars were not able to drive past the U.S. Supreme Court, past those U.S. Senate and U.S. House offices, and get even that close to the U.S. Capitol. We should know, you see that barrier that the car struck. That barrier is always there. That barrier existed before.
Okay, at this point, most of the coverage is just cyclical, okay? Here's what we have. Yeah, Paul George from the LA Clippers is going to be joining the No Pixel community. I'm aware. I was talking to Buddha about it earlier this morning. So, okay, so at this stage, we are at a point where we are just, the news media is going to cover this in a cyclical capacity because there's no new information. So I will be going back to the story when new information comes out. But there's other stories that I want to cover today as well, including apparently what AOC had to say about the children being locked in cages at the border and how it's very different from the Trump administration. I disagree. I mean, there is the agreement I have with that is that, yes, the Biden administration is not like the Biden administration is not tactically enforcing child separation as a deterrence measure, so it is different, but not all that different when you're still locking people up in fucking cages, and the cages just happen to be pink. So, no, it's still very bad. It is still very, very bad. Okay, have you seen the Bad Baby OnlyFans yet, by any chance? That is incredibly creepy. Bad Baby, I think, is not even 18, or literally probably turned 18 like yesterday. So, why the fuck? No, I have not seen Bad Baby's fucking OnlyFans. Okay, turned 18 a week ago. Okay, got it. She turned 18 a week ago. She made $1 million in 6 hours. LMAO. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, we'll talk about that then. All right. Let's move on to this for now, and then I want to hear this point of view, and then
Now, the first thing I want to say is that the fact that this keeps happening over and over and over again is a political failure by both parties. And I want to be very clear about that, because
guys, Ilhan Omar is my favorite congressperson. I just want to say that first.
I don't want to draw false equivalence. What is happening here is not the same as what happened during the Trump administration, where they took babies out of the arms of their mothers and deported their families and permanently traumatized these children, some of whom we don't know will ever be reunified with their family again, which is a level of human rights violation that is just simply not the same. Both of these things are barbaric and
okay, I mean,
wrong. But when you rip a baby out of the hands of a mother, you cannot draw the same comparison.
okay, but it's like, here's the problem, all right? It's like saying, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like the difference between fucking like, it's the difference between using a hammer to kill someone versus using your fucking punches to kill someone. They're both, in the end, it's still murder, and but in one instance it's like murder with a fucking with a deadly weapon, assault with a deadly weapon. The other is just like murder with your hands. So just because it's like, you know, 20% less violent does not change the reality that it's still incredibly fucking violent and incredibly brutal, and that you know, the difference there is so. The difference there is just so hyper focused on semantics that I wouldn't even mention it. I wouldn't even bring it up. I sometimes talk about it whenever people say, like, this is exactly the same as the Trump administration. No, the difference there is that the child separation is not a deterrence measure. Okay, the child separation under the Biden administration is not being utilized as a deterrence measure. But it doesn't matter, because why do we care about the child separation? We care about the child separation because there's trauma. Right? Trauma that the children are experiencing when they're ripped away from their parents. Okay? So if they're getting 100% trauma in that situation, they're still going to be getting 70% trauma when they are with their fucking parents, but still have to be subjected to these horrible conditions inside of a Texas border facility. I'm going to show you what this Texas border facility looks like, even though it's from Breaking 911, which is a reactionary account. This is, here we go. This is footage from NHK World, where the U.S. government has granted media access to a border facility in Texas. So I'm just going to show you this, okay? I'm going to show you the situation here. Arrivals of migrant families, even unaccompanied children, have been surging. President Joe Biden is under fire for the poor conditions. Okay, so similar sites were seen. Similar sites were seen under the Trump administration with children. I'm in a position where, you know, where I stand on this. I think that ICE should be abolished in its entirety. I think ICE should be abolished in its entirety. I think the Department of Homeland Security could be abolished as well in its entirety and reworked within the previous intelligence communities that we've already had. I don't believe that the DHS is a necessity. It hasn't been around for as long as you think it has, by the way. Everyone always still gets shocked when they find out that they're literally fucking older than the Department of Homeland Security. So, again, it does not, it does not, this is still completely unacceptable. Do not put these children in detention facilities at all. Do not use detention facilities at all. The fact that Joe Biden, in his executive order, abolishing the use of private prisons at the federal level, still carved out an exception for Department of Homeland Security usage, was already very scary. And when I brought it up months ago, when the original executive order was placed, a lot of fucking liberals were immediately upset at me and said, "You're crazy. You're being ridiculous. You're being ridiculous." It doesn't fucking matter. Okay. Private detention facilities currently are still open with guaranteed beds. Okay. So the government is literally paying private prisons right now for immigration detention facilities. And it is completely ridiculous. Okay. It is completely fucking ridiculous. And it should not be a thing. These children and the parents should be placed inside of hotels and not fucking prisons. Just because the detention, like just because the cages look a little bit different than the previous administration, even though it doesn't look all that different here. And these facilities are being overflowed. These facilities are being fucking filled to the brim with children. Does not change the reality that this is still cruel and inhumane and should not happen in the wealthiest nation on fucking earth. And AOC is not saying this is fine either. She said this is barbaric as well. So for those of you who are saying like, "Oh, yeah, I can't believe AOC, she's such fucking counter-revolutionary or whatever," she's still saying that this is barbaric. I wouldn't even go so far as to defend it, but in comparison to the Trump administration's actions, but you know. Biden decided to overturn the policies of his predecessor and accept unaccompanied minors. Oh my gosh, she said this is much better and you're a cuck? No, brother, do you not hear the fucking take?
Is just simply not the same.
She said it's simply not the same.
Both of these things are barbaric and they're wrong.
She said both of these things are barbaric and they're wrong.
But when you rip a baby out of the hands of a mother, you cannot.
The separation thing has nothing to do with verifying that the children are with their real parents, right? Yeah, that's the bullshit reason that the Obama administration gave for this as well when they originally set up these detention facilities in Oklahoma in military bases. They literally did that. They were saying that the detention centers were set up for children that are with parents or are with fake parents, with like coyotes that are making it seem like they are the parents of these children, and they wanted to put in a verification process. I've said this time and time again. When you add something like this into the law, or when you take actions, whether you're a Democratic administration or not, when you add this, the Republicans are going to use it. Okay, the Republicans are going to weaponize it, and the Republicans are going to fucking use it, and that's exactly what happened. And if the next Democratic administration doesn't immediately roll that back and change it in its entirety, then all you've done is continue the horrific policies. I've said this time and time again. I repeat myself on this issue. So the the Obama administration did that. Okay, they set up the facilities saying, well, there's going to be some need for children to be separated from people that are accompanying them because they're lying about being their parents. Okay, and then the Trump administration was like, yeah, fuck that. We're just going to literally separate you, even if you are straight up with your parents. And we're going to use the exact same reasoning that the Obama administration put forward. But we're also going to sometimes admit, like they did, that they're doing this separation policy as a deterrence measure. Now, one is way more fucking cruel, but it's both are still incredibly fucking cruel.
Draw the
Okay, here I'm changing.
same comparison. And anyone who is trying to do that is doing a profound disservice to the cause of justice. So I don't want to excuse any of this.
I'm admittedly not strong on immigration policy debate, but my conservative dad always says if we let people come into the country illegally without repercussions, what incentive to apply legally and wait your turn in line? How do I respond to this? Yes, the response here is that illegal immigration is going to happen no matter what you do. Either you are going to put them in cages and fucking start murdering them when there's too much overflow inside of these facilities because it's far too fucking expensive, or you are going to make the immigration process legal and easy to apply to. Okay? Because it's never going to change. There are always going to be people that are trying to come into this country. So you have to ask your father. You have to ask your father, is it acceptable to start murdering these kids? Or should we make a system where it is easier for these people to come in through legal measures? Now, the reason why it's so difficult for these people to come in through legal measures is because there's a 30-year fucking wait list. And if you're a mother whose children are currently being threatened, if you are escaping like a violent cartel that's ruling over your area, if you're escaping sexual assault in your domicile, then you're not going to fucking wait 30 goddamn years to legally immigrate into the United States. You are an asylum seeker, right? A lot of these countries where people are coming in illegally from are coming in illegally from those countries because the legal pathway to citizenship requires them to wait for fucking 30 years. And even then, it's not a 100% certainty. Do you understand? You get it? That's what you should tell your father. The reason why people are trying to come in by seeking asylum is because they are escaping horrific conditions back home, and America has purposely created a system where it is virtually impossible for them to come legally into the country. It is virtually impossible for them to come through legal measures, and that is deliberate. The reason why it's impossible for them to come through legal measures or through the legal pathway, and even though a lot of these people are still coming in legally because they are seeking asylum, is because the American government has historically always wanted to have a permanent underclass that does not have the same kind of rules, regulations, and restrictions that the documented American labor force is subjected to, so that they can have cheap, undocumented labor that they can immediately fucking purge from the country when necessary, when they feel like they want too much, like back pay, or when they speak out against sexual assault, which happens over and over again. The undocumented labor is the backbone of our agricultural production, whether you like to admit it or not. It's just basically indentured servitude or slavery by a different name in a more modernized context in the United States of America. And it's literally used, that undocumented labor pool is literally used as a threat against the documented labor force, because if the documented labor force wants to take action, then they're like, well, we have other people that can replace you. That's how you depress wages in the United States. That's one way that you depress wages in the U.S. is by utilizing a never-ending resource, a constant pool of labor that you can always replace the documented labor force with. So the real way to fix this problem is by allowing ease of access for all migrants, whether they are economic migrants, whether they're refugees of climate crisis or refugees of destabilization in their home nations, to be able to easily come to the United States and apply for a fucking visa or seek asylum and get integrated into the United States economy, okay? Therefore, allowing them to be documented members of the labor force and work side by side with the other documented members of the labor force to be able to ask for better protections for themselves. That's the real solution. But Americans will never take that solution because the profit margin is far too sweet for Purdue and all these other fucking, for the chicken factory owners to be able to consistently utilize undocumented labor and then fucking purge them from the country when they no longer want to play with them, like the fucking Toy Story kid throwing away Woody. The real way to punish this, if there was actually a fucking need, if this was actually a problem, and undocumented immigration was actually a genuine issue in this country, okay, then what the government would do is punish the businesses. If you hire an undocumented immigrant, you're going to jail, okay? Like, straight up punish the fucking businesses and the business owners. But they don't do that. The punishment is always a slap on the fucking wrist with a light fine that is literally baked into the profit margins of these corporations. The light fine that they have to pay is nothing in comparison, in their opinion, to only hiring a documented labor force that they're going to have to, abide by OSHA restrictions and also pay them a fucking living wage. And what about the loss of employment for the undocumented? Not disagreeing. No. Pathway to citizenship for all undocumented people in this country. Conditional amnesty for all undocumented immigrants currently in the country, okay, within our borders, which is something that Biden literally ran on, okay? So they should fucking follow through with that measure. That was supposed to be a popular policy. And then ease of access for undocumented migrants to be able to apply to work within the United States borders. You can even fucking build transportation programs for migrant workers or seasonal workers. We've literally done this. It's just not cost efficient for the businesses to document this, document the immigrant labor force. That's the only reason why we don't do it. Because they just don't make as much money. The Bracero program is a perfect example of this, okay? It's literally the American government taking advantage of Mexican and Latin American labor and then literally casting them aside like used toys when they were done with them. During World War I and World War II, we needed people to come and work within the factories, and we used South American labor, and then we built fucking concentration camps, and we decided to purge them from the country. This has always been the case. Do you think we have enough hotels to store them? What? Yes, motherfucker. Are you out of your mind at a time when, like, literally the hospitality industry is devastated? Yes, literally, yes. How many people do you think a hotel could literally, a vacant hotel? My man said store, by the way. There's like 4,000 people, dude. You could put them in fucking 2 hotels. That's it. Here's another fun fact for you that is not so fun, that you are probably going to be surprised to hear if you're unaware of this, but there's significantly more empty houses in this country than there are homeless people, okay? Fun fact, in the state of California, in the Oakland area alone, there is 3 times the amount of vacant houses than there are homeless people in the entire fucking state of California, okay? The number is, I think, like 18-1 or some shit for the entire country. There's 18 empty houses for stolen take from chat. Motherfucker, you think I haven't talked about homelessness and housing and public housing in this with these exact same with this data before? What are you, stupid? Stolen from the fucking chat. Yeah, I stole that from you. Yeah, chat is like, half the chat has heard these stats from me, and they're just repeating it to remind one another. And you're like, oh, you stole that from fucking the chat. It's not even a take. Anyway, let's watch the. I went on another fucking tangent on like undocumented immigrants and labor and how to fix this problem once again, as I often do whenever I talk about this story. But because there is an economic reason for why there are so many undocumented Or there are so many undocumented workers. Oh, wait. Which stolen from chat? Yeah, I used it in this debate as well. Where is the you stole it from Jew Trump 1. How do you handle the inevitable overpopulation and lack of resources? What overpopulation? We could place the entire planet's population inside of Texas if Texas had the same density as New York City. Okay? It would be dog shit. But like when people say overpopulation, they literally just do not think about like Oklahoma. Okay? There are places in this fucking country. There are places in this country that are just empty. Okay? They're just straight up empty. That would 1,000%. That would 1,000 fucking percent benefit from an influx of immigrant labor. Okay? 1,000,000%. Literally just go anywhere in this country and you will recognize overpopulation has nothing to do with physical space, but resource depletion and biodiversity loss as well as climate change. Yes. I understand that, but it's not anywhere near a problem as the eco-fascists present it to be. Yes, we act like the people currently living in Oklahoma, for example, wouldn't be hostile or cause more chaos than an influx of outside culture. Bitch, what the fuck is outside culture? It's a lack of proper integration if you think that there's a fucking problem there. And it's a lack of integration for the literal Americans that live there as well as the immigrants that are coming in. Okay? Hazleton, Pennsylvania is a perfect example of a fucking entire city whose economy turned around. It's an industrial city that was left behind. And the only reason why there's a robust economy there now is because of undocumented and documented immigrant labor in that fucking town. Okay? It used to be like 94% white. Now it's no longer 94% white. And the dumbass fucking white idiots that live there are still like, no, I don't like it. I don't recognize my town anymore. Bitch, the reason why you have a fucking job and the reason why you can survive is because of these immigrants that came here. Maybe you should fucking be a little bit more open-minded. It doesn't matter if people are going to be intolerant to the incoming immigrants. They need to learn to fucking live with it, okay? This is the thing that frustrates me. People constantly go back to like this essentialist point of view whenever it comes to the white supremacists and dumbass white people that we fucking baby, okay? Not just white people, but just conservatives in general. We baby them to no degree, to no end. Like, oh my God, what if they are just going to be really white supremacists and racist, the brownies that are coming in? Like, well, okay, then that's their fucking problem. They need to learn to live with it, okay? Motherfucker, just like none of the people that live in fucking Western Pennsylvania were born with a bone that makes them biologically predetermined to fucking work in a fracking field, okay? They learned because they adapted. Humanity's greatest capability is our capability to fucking adapt to insane conditions, all right? Whenever people say like retraining is unfeasible, it doesn't work, retraining. No, motherfucker, you know what is feasible though? Money, okay? If you train people to work in green energy fields instead of fracking, then they're literally going to do that. If we subsidize green energy initiatives, renewable energy initiatives, and we start planting fucking factories that build solar panels or investing more money into R&D to build batteries, figure out what kind of fucking ways that we can make more batteries, for example. Those dudes that were working at the fracking field are not gonna all of a sudden turn around and be like, I can't believe this. Like, I didn't have an industry in my town for the past 4 generations since the coal mines closed in West Virginia. But now that you want to do renewable energy, I can't do it. I'm gonna say no to the fucking $80,000 salary. No, that's not how this works. Humans don't adapt. They change their environment to adapt to them. Yes, they do. Humans adapt all the fucking time. They change their environment as well, but they literally fucking also adapt to their environment. What I'm trying to say here, ladies and gentlemen, is that people in Western Pennsylvania were not born with some sort of fucking destiny to frack. Okay? Yeah, changing the environment is literally people adapting. Sorry. Unfortunately, building batteries and solar panels comes with U.S. imperialism because our planet has silicon and cobalt and lithium outside of U.S. territories. Okay, then let's not do it, man. You're right. Fuck it, dude. There's no way to ethically mine this stuff, so let's just not even do it, dude. Fuck it. Return to monkey. Bitch, log the fuck off right now. Take your glasses off and go live in the fucking forest on your own. If you have that dumbass take, I'm sick and tired of hearing like fucking over-the-top psychopathic lefties who are like, I'm sorry, but the Green New Deal is more like Green New Imperialism. You're just saying that we need to destroy Bolivia. Just say you hate Bolivia and move on. Okay, dude, fuck it. Fuck it, dude. Just be a monkey, dude. Just go back and live in monkey world, okay? Does green energy jobs pay as much as coal and oil jobs? That may be the one factor they don't want to switch, but we should definitely have more green energy jobs. It could be if there are more opportunities in the green energy field, in the renewable energy field. It's a growing sector. It's, I believe, like a couple of years back, it was nearly 800 times more jobs available with a much, much better future. Like, these are the jobs of tomorrow. These are not today's jobs, okay? Much better future for the industry in and of itself. But 85% of the subsidies from the federal government at the time was going to fossil fuel extraction and to the fossil fuel industry. There's obviously a reason for that, because the green energy industry does not have the same amount of fucking lobbyists and the same amount of purchasing power that the fossil fuel industry did. Now that the fossil fuel industry is literally purchasing green energy initiatives and a significant chunk of the green energy and renewable sector, you're going to start seeing that balance change a little bit. I live in a part of PA that used to have big coal energy jobs 2 generations ago. Everything around here is dying like bad, yet people still come around here and will fight the Green New Deal because someone on Fox told them it's fucking crazy. Exactly. The only way to get those motherfuckers to shut the fuck up and get a new job is by coming into their town and being like, we are repurposing and retooling this factory for you. You're going to do renewable energy. Here you go. Welcome to your fucking new future. Here's the $80,000 job. You think they're going to be like, no, I'm sorry, we need to keep extracting coal, brother? Like, no, they're not going to say that. They want jobs. These are fucking normal people.
Which people are saying.
I can't believe we moved on to this now from immigration, racism, and how immigrants actually help, because we were talking about Hazelton. Fuck me, my ADHD is so stupid sometimes. Let's get back to what AOC had said about the migrant detention facilities.
Address that term, because we have this surge, which people are saying, and we have to address that term because it is wrong. And people are pushing back, you know, when we talk about this. And when they say that, the reason why we shouldn't use that term is because this is not an invasion. And in fact, when you want to talk about that, we should be owning the fact that US foreign policy has contributed to the destabilization of these regions and of the very countries that are now mired in a lot of violence that these families and these children are fleeing. So we cannot use that term, not to police it, not to be politically correct, but because we know what the level and the steps of dehumanization lead to. We just experienced this last year. And I'm not going to allow the Stephen Millers of the world to pretend that he didn't do what he did and to act like this is the same. I have been in contact with the Biden administration personally. And what I can tell you that's different about this administration, again, I'm not here to excuse it. I'm not here to say this is good. I'm not here to do anything. But one thing that is different is that they're trying to figure out and they're trying to create the resources to actually end this problem. And the Trump administration was contributing to it. They contributed to it with zero tolerance. They contributed it with the fear.
I take it one step further. I think Democrats have fucking contributed to it as well. Democrats contribute to the horrific and cruel conditions that we subject immigrants to every moment that they do not immediately scale back everything that the Republican administrations prior to them have done, and then also making it harder for the Republicans to implement and further implement policies. Okay, I'm sorry. Democrats are supposed to be, I have a harsher point of view whenever I am criticizing the Democrats' work. Okay.
Here, they contributed with this freaking census question. They contributed to it. So all of this is to say that there's no excuse for this system, that all of it is morally wrong, that it's repugnant, but we can at least work to change it. And that's really what we need, a deep change on this issue.
I mean, this is literally fucking same shit like as Guantanamo Bay. Sorry, we can't close it. Same shit as it's always the same. We are literally using the exact same fucking arguments that we used, Democrats routinely fucking use whenever there is a policy position that they're not fighting hard enough to end. Okay. I hate that we just like, I hate that the Democratic Party POV is always, oh, well, you know, we're going to fix some of the stuff. We're going to fix some of the stuff that the Republicans have done. And then the Democrats in the chat, or like Democrats in general, will then turn around and run defense for the Democratic Party inadvertently. Like, Democrats should be operating like Republicans, okay? Magic the Gathering, so you fall this far after all? I'm so confused. Like, we're on Twitch, motherfucker. It's a gaming platform. We're all nerds here. Like, when people get mad and like consider me playing Magic the Gathering to be like a fall, it is so weird. Like, dude, this is you. I mean, you probably hate yourself as well, I guess. Okay. I mean, I've played. Why is there so much hate today? I don't know what it is. I feel like it makes them look like hypocrites too. Like, if they actually believe the kids in cages are bad, they'd be doing more to fix it. Exactly. What should we do about Myanmar? Peaceful protesters are being slaughtered in broad daylight. Someone should intervene, right? I don't know, dude. 91 people died, I think, so far, right? In the peaceful protests in the hands of the fucking army. And I legitimately don't know anything. I don't know how to, deal with that. Nopers no helping the Dems? What? Hundreds have died. 91 died in just one day. Okay. Ilhan Omar's point of view on this. Our immigration policies have caused serious violations of human rights. Separating children from their parents in order to receive asylum is cruel and an endangerment to the lives of children. We also must end policies like Title 42 that limit migrants' legal avenues for asylum. Yeah. That's all you need to say. That's literally all you need to say. You don't need to like act like the we play no pixel after the MTG thing. Yes. Oh yeah, Minneapolis Police Department Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman testified. Well, yeah, that was the other update that I wanted to give you guys. Thank you, Asai, for reminding me. Wait, let me see if there's any videos of this. Okay. The Minneapolis Police Department Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman testified today, which is a huge testimony, that the force that Chauvin used was completely uncalled for. I mean, he had some really interesting words for this. Let's watch.
What is your, your view of that use of force during that time period?
Not George Zimmerman.
Totally unnecessary.
What do you mean?
Well, first of all, pulling him down to the ground, face down, and putting your knee on the neck for that amount of time is just uncalled for. I saw no reason why the officers felt they were in danger, if that's what they felt.
This is the perfect witness. And I mean perfect witnesses is like he has immediate direct knowledge of how to deal with a situation like this. I believe he outranks the fucking officer that we're talking about, Derek Chauvin. He's white, you know, kind of huge too. He has tenure, he has rank, he knows what the proper police protocol is, his experience. You cannot get a fucking better testimony than this in an open shut case like this, okay?
And that's what they would have to.
And this is what I was saying when I was talking about how, okay, this is what I was saying when I was talking about how open and shut this fucking Derek Chauvin case is. So it's so idiotic that like conservatives are still trying to fucking defend it, okay? Like, this is why I was saying that it's so insane, because it's so obvious that like when I saw cops come out and speak out against this, despite the fact that, you know, there are plenty of fucking cops all around the country that utilize similar procedures. Okay? I was like, that's it. It's a wrap. There's no fucking way. Like, there's no way. If you have other cops that violate the thin blue line or the fraternity of police and like the unspoken bond that they have, which is like unconditionally support one another in instances, because that might come back and turn around and haunt you. I was like, that's it. It's done. It is almost as if cops aren't a hive mind. Brother, it's not about being a hive mind. It's about having incentives, okay? And if you assume that police culture in this country does not revolve around a hive mind that literally defends white supremacy and brutality in nearly every single fucking instance, you're out of your goddamn mind. Of course it is. Of course it is. It's like saying business owners aren't a fucking hive mind. No, they are. Why do you think that currently, why do you think that that other industry leaders aren't fucking advocating for the patents to be released at the international level for COVID vaccines? Because they recognize that while it would be tremendously beneficial for the international economy if these patents were released and third world nations and developing nations were able to fucking have access to this, unrestricted access to this vaccination, so that we can immediately get back to fucking work and slave away in Indonesian child labor factories, right? And everyone could get their fucking fast fashion and their Nike sneakers with the immediacy that Nike would like. Despite the fact that that would help most industry leaders, they are still very much against the IP being released. Why do you think they are? It's in their best interest for the IP for vaccines to be released. Why do you think that they're not? Why do you think that they're not speaking for the IP to be released and instead speaking out against it? Because they recognize that because there's an unspoken bond. If you get government to literally fucking say, nope, this intellectual property is now for everyone, then all of a sudden that could come around and haunt them in the future. You're setting a dangerous precedent where there could be international cooperation by governments that would then force these big businesses to do certain things that would hurt their profit margins. There's always class solidarity amongst billionaires, millionaires, corporations, and the wealthy. They will always have class solidarity. They will always demonstrate that class solidarity. But the moment that you the moment that you recognize your class solidarity with a random fucking worker that's coming from Honduras or some shit, well, that's a big problem. Yeah, NBC and multiple other news sources at this stage have identified the attacker, by the way. Multiple senior law enforcement officers briefed on the investigation say no agreeing a 25-year-old male from Indiana is the person who attacked the Capitol today. Okay, this was reported by Pete Williams over at NBC and also the WNBC chief investigative reporter and NBC News contributing correspondent. So that is what was going on. I don't know if he's white. I saw the fucking video. It didn't look like he was white. So stop fucking saying that the person is white, okay? Noah Green is the person's name.
to be able to use that kind of force.
Motherfuckers from Iowa saying, at least he's not from Iowa, dude. Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
So, in your opinion, should that restraint have stopped once he was handcuffed and prone on the ground?
Absolutely.
What is your, your
Okay, so
have you ever?
There's a 5-minute defense that we're gonna look at. Actually, let's do it. I just don't know if there's any video of the actual. I'm like scared if there might be like actual video. You know what I mean? Let me just we'll watch the entire thing.
Years
Hold
you've been
on.
working for the Minneapolis Police.
Okay, good. It's just the video. All right, got it. Here, we'll watch the entire testimony of the cop. Sorry for the fucking way too dank moment there.
Have you
but
ever, in all the years you've been working for the Minneapolis Police Department, been trained to kneel on the neck of someone who
Hold on, I
is
gotta pee as well.
handcuffed behind their back in a prone position?
No, I haven't.
Is that, if that were done, would that be considered force?
Absolutely.
What level of force might that be?
That would be the top tier, the deadly force.
Why?
Because of the fact that if your knee is on a person's neck, that can kill him.
If you, as an officer, according to the training, you handcuff somebody behind the back, what's your responsibility with regard to that person from that moment on?
That person is yours. He's your responsibility. His safety is your responsibility. His well-being and is your responsibility.
Once you handcuff somebody, does that affect the amount of force that you should consider using?
Absolutely.
How so?
Once a person is cuffed, the threat level goes down all the way, to they're cuffed. How can they really hurt you, well,
certainly there could be circumstances when a couple.
He literally says it's cruel and unusual, and he was trying to murder him. Okay, there is no better testimony that you could get in this situation than that. Like, especially the hands being pulled behind his back and the extra force being applied in that circumstance on a handcuffed individual is just straight up like it's GG.
Tough person could still be combative.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But you getting injured is way down.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you're, you could have some guy try to kick you or something, but you can move out of the way. That person is handcuffed, and they, the threat level is just not there.
So by handcuffing somebody, you've taken away some of their ability to harm you.
Absolutely.
And if somebody who is handcuffed becomes less combative, does that change the amount of force that an officer is to use under policy?
Yes.
How so?
Well, if they become less combative, you may just have them sit down on a curb, or the idea is to calm the person down, and if they are not a threat to you at that point, you try to,
Meaning he was a bitch and he was so scared a pin down handcuffed man would hurt him? Straight up pussy man? No. That's a lie, dude. Listen, that's the trick, okay? That's the fucking trick. The trick is to make you believe that he was genuinely fearful for his life. That's a fucking lie. He wasn't genuinely fearful for his life. He wanted to fucking kill him, okay? He straight up wanted to kill him. And that's precisely what this testimony is implying